Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining today's webinar from job description to quality hire with guest speaker Larry Hernandez, diversity talent sorcerer at Microsoft. So first, thank you so much, Larry, for taking the time out of your day to host the webinar. For those of you who don't know, Larry's had over 20 years of experience in the talent acquisition space. He's worked from everywhere from USAA, Zappos, Rackspace, and is now the diversity talent sorcerer at Microsoft. He continues to refine and adapt cutting-edge ideas and practices that make him a leader in the space. So really excited to hear what you have to say today, Larry.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Kelsey, and everyone over at SeekOut. SeekOut has been an awesome partner. So everyone is here, and you're very excited. We don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm going to kind of get right to it. So, I mean, I guess the reason that I went out and tried to find a system is because, like me, probably you just got into this sourcing and recruiting. It's not like we went to school and went to medical school or law school. You're just kind of like, great, you're hired. Here's a job description. We need candidates by the end of the week. And so we jump in, we do our best, right? And so I was always looking for, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. Because sometimes I would work on one project and we would find really great candidates with the keywords I was using. Sometimes it would take a while, right? So I was on this hunt, and thanks to Johnny Campbell, a video that sparked my interest and it got me going. But here's the thing: right now we are in, I guess, in the last 20 years, we are probably in one of the most competitive markets that I've ever experienced. And I like I said, I've been doing this a while. So we don't have the time to wait. We don't have the time to figure it out. And you have a lot of projects and a lot of recs. So the faster you can get right to the right person, the better. You're going to beat the competition. And, I don't need to go there. So this is a system where you're going to be able to go use it over and over and over again, okay? So bear with me on this software that I'm using. It's non-traditional. But step one, we're going to start with the job description. So I just grabbed one from Netflix, right? So we start with the job description. If you've got intake notes, if you've got whatever it is that you have that you're working off of, okay? And we're going to go, in this case, we're going to jump right into the minimum requirements. Now, I have tried explaining this. My wife is a recruiter. I've tried explaining this process to junior recruiters, sourcers, and I don't want you to worry about the actual technology that I'm using, right? This system you can use to pick a great movie on Netflix and to pick a great restaurant, okay? I happen to pick a technical job description. So this could work for teachers, nurses, whatever it is that you're searching for, okay? For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to go right to the minimum requirements. I just picked Netflix. I have no association with them. Let's just give it a shot. So let's pretend like we're all on a team and we're the in-house recruiter. We've got 8 hours or an hour to turn this job description into search strings that are going to for sure find us the right person, okay? So here's what we do. Let me get my handy dandy pen here. So we're going to turn each one of these lines, and for today I decided just to stop at 2 because we're short on time and I don't want to confuse everybody because this can get a little complicated, but we're just going to pick the first 2, okay? We're going to pretend like all this doesn't exist, okay? We're just going to pretend that we've been hired to look at these 2. So it says, proven experience with building and operating scalable distributed systems. Now, if you don't know what this is, that's not what this training is about. Okay, so let's go to step 2 here. So we know we're looking for distributed services and distributed systems, okay? So here's where the magic is in this. Bear with me, people. Now, here's the little system. This is the magic, okay? We are going to take our first keyword group, right? I want you to actually forget about this column. Forget about that orange for right now. Just worry about the blue, okay? We know that we're looking for distributed systems. So if we were in a conference room together, we'd have coffee, I would have catered it, you would be so happy right now with the food that I selected, and we would get little sticky pads. And we would say, okay, everybody, we've got an hour. Everyone do research on distributed systems, because I've never heard of it, right? And we would get little sticky pads and we would put them in a column. One, I would do this. Jenny would do this. Maria would do here, right? And we would start researching what are the keywords that would be on someone's profile, on someone's resume, LinkedIn profile, wherever it is you look. Your ATS is also a nice place to look for people. Let's stack them. Okay, now you'll see I made a big green arrow. So the keywords, the little memo pads that we stack, those are going to be our OR statements, for those of you who know Boolean search string, right? All we're doing is we're saying, I need some synonyms, okay? So distributed systems. Well, we know from our, I'll show you how I found this on SeekOut. We know that also the keyword highly available is a good word. Distributed algorithms, right? So we just kind of go here and we do our research. I'm not going to go through the process, but really all I do is I Google it. What is distributed services? What is distributed systems? I look at my ATS, and I'm going to show you how I do this. This is using one of my favorite tools in SeekOut, and I used to do this manually, but what you can do is up to the top right is Insights, okay? I'm going to click on Insights and Public Profiles. It gives you, this is not a lesson on how to use this, but just bear with me here. So it tells me, this is all you can do this pre-intake or pre-discovery call. So I want to find out Netflix, and I want to know senior software engineer, right? And I'm going to hit go. Now what SeekOut does is what we've done for manually years, right? Because we're trying to get information and get credibility with our hiring managers. It just took all the people who are currently working for Netflix with that title and gave me a snapshot, right? Now, this is all cool stuff, okay? It gives me my target list. Hey, everyone that's working at Netflix and you can see here, it looks familiar. It's the same UI as like LinkedIn or LinkedIn Recruiter has the facets on the left. Currently at Netflix, currently a senior software engineer. Well, hey, it gives me all the companies, past titles, skill sets, right? So if you're not familiar with distributed systems, you might want to look here and go, okay, is there anything here that makes sense? There's distributed systems. Okay, so that is actually a word, good. And once you look at this, and it's got a lot of information, it's really going to help you get some credibility with your hiring managers and help you put together a sourcing plan. But what's really cool is I can hit view candidates. So I'm still looking at that same data. All I've told SeekOut is I'm looking at Netflix, I'm looking at senior software engineers, give me what you got. Now, so I'm looking at the current team, 624 people. Now, I don't know for sure that they're on that exact team, but I can start looking, and what SeekOut does, it starts giving me some highlights here at the bottom of these profiles. It starts giving me some really highly relevant keywords, right? And if I can look, test-driven, let me see here. This is live, so I didn't have this all set up, right? So like web services, let's just say web service. I didn't know what web services is. They've got these cool little snippets here, right? I'm just telling you we're going to use that a little bit later. But that's how I do a little bit of research. Now, if I wanted to get real fancy, I could put, what are the odds I'm going to spell this right while we're live? Distributed systems, right? So I'm still looking at that same set of people, current senior software engineers at Netflix. But look what I have here. I've got, I just put, hey, within that group of people, just give me distributed systems. It's very similar to where if you're shelling out the money or you're fortunate to work for a company that's giving you LinkedIn Recruiter, it would be like getting everyone who currently works at Netflix, getting everybody who's got a current title of senior software engineer, throwing them into a project, and then digging through that subset, okay? This just happens to be more affordable. But no dig, all the tools, use them all, right? So multi-threading. So now I'm looking at people that have only the word distributed systems, and this is where I start getting some really interesting keywords here, okay? So I dig around, I do this for about half an hour, 45 minutes. If it's the first time that I am looking at a rec, right? So I would copy and paste this, and I would say, hey, I'm back into the conference room. Hope y'all didn't eat all the good stuff. And I would just kind of say, look, I've got a word, right? And I would put it here on the sticky pad. Okay, so I know I'm talking fast. Does that make sense? All I've done was I've gone from job description. Okay, bear with me, I'm zooming in here. All I've done is I'm taking the first requirement, okay, and I'm turning it into keywords, a stack of keywords or synonyms that are going to help me find the right people. Okay, now here's the thing. If you just said, I don't get it, this seems like common sense. Well, we're going to keep doing this, right? We're going to keep going. Here's the second keyword group. Now, a lot of the new tools out there, or let's just say you're like, you know what I do is I just look at the job description. Sorry for the motion sickness, everybody. And I just kind of get the keywords. I get this one, I get that one, I get this one. I use the title, and I kind of just put them all together. And then I hit search, and I start sourcing. That is how we all learn. We just said, let's just go. The problem is, if you don't know how you built that search string, or if you're using artificial intelligence or these other tools that say, oh, you're looking for distributed systems, let me give you all the software technologies, let me give you all this stuff, and we're going to group it, and we're going to find people. As you get in your search and your hiring team goes, yeah, we don't use that technology, or they don't need to know this. So what we need to do is we need to get under the hood of our search string and our search criteria and go, okay, let's eliminate just that one piece. But if you don't know how that search string was built, you're never going to be able to decouple those words. In other words, let's just use something else. We're having a barbecue. It's the summer, and you're going to make potato salad, and then you just buy it from the store. It was Whole Foods. I spent a little bit of money, and I put it there, and someone goes, oh, I can't have onions, or I can't even have it touch onions. You're going to be like, look, I use artificial intelligence to build this potato salad. I don't really know what's in it, so yeah, good luck. But if you were the one that made it, you could say, nope, absolutely. We did this, we did this, we did this. Does that make sense? So we're just going to do this systematically, right? The second line on this, and this is tough to do because I usually I'm doing this either live or one-on-one, so I can see everyone going, yep, or I don't know what this guy's talking about. So I'm assuming you're with me. If you have questions, we can get them at the end. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at the second requirement. Now we're going to stop there, right? Deep knowledge of concurrency, resiliency, and caching, HTTP, and REST, okay? If you're not a technical recruiter, who cares, right? But let's just say I have to work on this. I would Google these words. I would go to SeekOut, and I would start doing the same thing. But this is like one of those cooking shows where I already have the meal kind of pre-done. Same thing. We're going to go back to the conference room, and we're going to say, okay, let's now work on the second group. Okay, so as I stack these little keywords, these are or, right? These are synonyms. All the blue, I've color coded them. All the blue should give us, and by the way, as you get more help and as you get, you start doing more phone screens, you're going to be adding these, right? You're going to keep adding new ones. Ooh, I found a new keyword, right? You're going to put these keywords in, and you're going to find a new keyword. And you're going to, I always put version 1, version 2, and you're going to keep adding. But everything that's added in blue on your blue sticky, or for those of you who are, the half of you that don't care about colors, you want to use, you could just do this in Sheets or Excel. That's how this was first done. We would just do column 1, keywords, right? Distributed, highly available, right? And we would add them. And then you would go column 2. The concept that I want you to be aware of is that these are or, right? And then the ones that are across here, these are and. So keyword group 2, we want concurrency. We want the word resiliency. Doesn't matter if you don't know what these words are. This could very easily just be ABC, right? Or these could be ingredients to a cake. It doesn't matter. But the important thing is that you don't just put these words together like this, because if you were to, most people, if we were to do this, right, it just said distributed systems, concurrency, highly available, then you're never going to know how and why you're getting these individuals. And if after the first phone screen with your hiring manager, they go, you know what, we've got 2 people on the team that are really sharp at concurrency, go ahead, and we don't need that. Other than the word concurrency, you're not going to know what else was co-mingled in your search string, because you just put in, I need these people. And does that make sense? So this is a good way to separate this out, right? I thought about using recruiting or sourcing. That way you could be a little bit more familiar, but you get the hint. So I've got 2 sets of keywords, right? Now, I'm going to take a step here, and we're going to now go to the amazing 3rd step. Man, time is running fast. Okay, so we got it. We've got 2 stacks of keywords. Keyword group 1 in blue, keyword group 2 in whatever that color is. Now what? Well, this is magical here, because thanks to a Renford, who I've had the chance to talk to and become friends with, he created this tool called Bool, and it's free. So you go to the Chrome store and you type in B-O-O-L, right? And then you're going to get this bad boy. So I'm about to show you live what this looks like, but there's a reason that I used the color coding that I did. Okay, so remember, I used green means or, and they're up and down, right? Blue means and, right? Blue means I want this and I want this, right? I want bacon and fries, right? Or this is, you get me, okay? So let's jump into this amazing tool here. Now, I'm in SeekOut. The cool thing is, once you log in, like with your Google account, here's what this looks like. And this might be small. I can't really zoom in because it's a Chrome app, but I can put in here, I knew this was going to happen. I didn't want to do this, distributed systems. I didn't want to do this in advance. So as I'm typing, you can see that it's starting to do all my grammar for me, right? It's starting to put it in parentheses, and it's starting to put it in quotation marks. So if you've never learned how to build these strings, you don't have to, right? I suggest you do learn, but that's okay, right? And then I can say, oh, I want highly scalable. Now, we've got the answers to the test in my stickies, right? So let's save some time and copy and paste. Now, as you saw, I just left my browser and I came back. If you're signed in, it's still going to be there, right? So look at what it's doing. Look at what it's doing for me here. As I'm typing, it's building these for me: distributed systems, or highly scalable, or distributed algorithms, right? Awesome. Now we're going to go and get the other color. I hope you're as excited as I was when I figured this out. because now, boom, concurrency, right? Now, what did it do? Let's see here, make sure. So you'll notice here in Bool that it started a new line, if you will, right? If we were coding or whatever it is, it started a brand new line. The first, well, I guess it doesn't really matter, but see how this here is all together, right? The parentheses tell the computer, tell your ATS, tell the CRM, tell SeekOut, group all these together. All I need is one out of all these, right? Now I'm going to step 2, boom. Okay, now I'm telling it, I also want, right, because they want caching or resiliency, but up. Now I'm telling it, I want one from list, I want one of these, at least one from column 1, and I need at least one from column 2. Very cool. I could hit save. Now, by the way, I'm going to cut and paste this. Oh, by the way, here, I can't see this, but you can hit your clipboard, and it saves your searches. So you can see here that you can get real big here in these searches, right? So you don't have to be this pro, right? You can tell I've been looking for distributed systems again, right? Low level or, right? And then we go over to SeekOut, hit paste, and we hit go. And I'm working with 38 now. Since I probably should clear this out first. Let me hit clear. I'm going to hit paste. I'm going to hit enter. And now I'm working with 13,977 candidates. Now I'm using this little highlight this app. So remember, we're using 2 colors, right? So this little Chrome extension lets me say, hey, in keyword 1, if anything in my column of keyword, I want you to highlight it in 1 color. Okay, and I'm really doing this for presentation purposes, but it is kind of cool for those of you who are visual to group your keywords, right? Like REST, web services. That way, when you're in your ATS, since these are Chrome apps, when I'm in my ATS, or if I'm looking at a new tool, I'm like, SeekOut, why did you give me, here, I'm going to click this. And I know we're going to be running short on time. So Kelsey, jump in if you have to stop me. But because I have that little highlighter tool, it's called Highlight This. Now when I'm looking at my ATS, LinkedIn, I say, not only is that the word, but it tells me, now I know why. Okay, that's why, right? And guess what? I can't help myself. There's some other really yummy, tasty keywords that we could put back on that sticky, okay? So that is what I do. And I'm thinking to myself, right, is there anything else? But I mean, this is just, oh yes, I promised the SeekOut team that I would show you this. Here's one thing that's really, really cool, is that they've got these power filters. So I could have just gone and scrolled down and selected distributed systems engineer, right? And it's going to use artificial intelligence to get me a lot of the keywords that that maybe I didn't know, right? Highly scalable, caching, right? So that is really, really cool. So I will sometimes use this to get some other keywords or to help me research it, right? And of course, I can put them in a project. Of course, I can look at my data set and sit there and go, look, they're all in San Francisco, and we're in, Nebraska. We're never going to fill it, right? We can print this out. We can see where my competition is. And by the way, every one of these target companies could be, if could be an entire, right here, Amazon. Don't take from Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, right? You can put keywords, you can put school names, you can put whatever it is your heart desires. So I hope that made sense. To me, this changed everything. And then I save these, right? And I use Evernote. I've got all my years. I've got all my search strings, right? And then I kind of just help other people out. So does that make sense? Kelsey, what's the verdict? Are they just like, yay, nay? Oh, I think you're on mute, Kelsey, if you're trying to talk. Oh, yes, let me go to this.
People
Whoa.
are saying, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. People are saying that they really enjoy Bool and they think it's going to be a great time saver for them. And we only have 3 questions here for you.
Okay.
Hunter is asking, do you work under the user story map format frequently, or was this just for today's webinar?
I've used this to train a team of junior sourcers because everyone can jump in. So right now, if I gave everybody access, we could all be typing in together. Everyone could be sitting there writing notes. It's like if we were all using sheets and we can all kind of team in, right? So I'm still kind of new to it, but I'm liking it. Thanks for the question.
Cool. And another one from Janet here. For those of us who aren't techie, will we see a video of this post-webinar? Yes, Janet. I'll be sure to send a polished webinar recording out to every attendee here today. We also always post them on our blog site directly on our homepage as well. So you can always be sure to go there. And then we have another question, Larry, from Louis. He wants to know how you source diverse candidates.
Okay, so I've got to be careful here. That's awesome. And so full disclosure, I am contracting with Microsoft right now. And so in no way was any of this, I'm not talking to you as a Microsoft employee, right? So now that my attorneys are happy, well, here's the thing. So SeekOut, and I'm not using SeekOut for work purposes, right? I use this as an independent consultant. But what you could do is use this same system. And here's the thing. We share tools a lot. Like I'm on the SourceCon Tech Advisory Board. Everyone knows about Bool. Everyone knows about SeekOut. But what I wanted to get across to everybody was the system. It's a system, right? Just take line 1 and build it out. Take line 2 and build it out, right? So if I wanted to add, if this were a set of whatever it is you're looking for, so if I were looking for Latino, Latina, Latinx candidates, but who still needed this, I would add another row of stickies, and I would sit there and say, what do we have in common? Could I build just an entire list of stickies that had the most popular surnames? If you just Google popular Hispanic, Latino surnames in the U.S. By the census, you will get a list and the numbers of all the most popular last names, right? So I do this. I just build them out. So I've got search strings that are huge that just have all the last names, right? So that's how you would do it. You would get all the universities. You would get all the associations, and that's how you would build. So I hope that's helpful.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, real quick, one of the power filters you guys have, there's diversity power filters, right? So I could just put in Hispanic, African American, veteran, female, and then all the work is done for you. So that's one of the really cool things about SeekOut.
Awesome. And we still have a little bit of time. Just it's only 11:30 here. We have somebody asking, can you take those search strings and directly put them into LinkedIn or a Google search?
Yes. So Bool has kind of a built-in X-ray where I could just kind of, if you don't know how to X-ray, I could hit, let's just say, LinkedIn, right? I hit go, and it's going to put these. But once you see how it added site.linkedin, that's all X-raying is. But yeah, once you copy and paste these, like right now, if I was helping everybody and I've got this set of keywords, I could copy and paste this into your ATS, whatever it is you're using now. Keep in mind that sometimes they don't like when you use or. Everyone has a little bit of, every system has, like I'm working with this one ATS where it just wants me to put and, right? Well, we don't have to put and anymore because most software already knows that if there's 2 parentheses together, we don't have to put that. But so you might have to kind of finagle this a little bit. I've had some sheets, or you can just, you know what you would do? Copy and paste this into Word and kind of do control find and add a bunch of ors and add a bunch of ands. Yeah, but these are good for whatever you use.
Awesome. Pierre's asking if you've ever created a blog post around best practices for creating a source plan.
I want to say yes. So I've got a YouTube channel that my mom follows. That's about it. That I have the original video when I was at Zappos. When I started the sourcing team at Zappos, I made this video. Now, we didn't have SeekOut and we didn't have Boole. I built an Excel spreadsheet that did this manually. So it's kind of, I think everything recruiting is the channel on YouTube. And then Recruiter Larry is my blog, recruiterlarry.com. I'm sure there's some stuff down there, but if you will make a comment or follow me on LinkedIn, I would be glad to. I love this stuff, right? I just think we should all learn. So if something is not there, let me know and I'd be glad to update it.
We have another question from Jane. She was running into a problem where she's using, in all caps, not. So she's been doing searches and doesn't, let's say, for instance, doesn't want a director. So she's using not director, not working. How would you exclude people if you're not using SeekOut? Within SeekOut, we do have an exclusion button, but without using SeekOut, how would you exclude people?
Awesome. And I didn't go over this, but there's a not feature in red, right? So each column gets its own not, right? So that I don't know how many emails I get from recruiters thinking I'm a DevOps engineer, right? So I would do this, and then look how I don't know if you can see the code. It says negative sign recruiter, okay? So you can put in negative sign dir, right? And yeah, it just depends on where you're at. Let me see if I can freelance here. Because sometimes it just depends. LinkedIn changes the algorithm. Your ATS might have something different, but really, when you go to the titles, I'm in regular LinkedIn, right? And you can type in the word negative sign, and then sometimes you can just put in parentheses and put in director, not dir, and then that should work. Sometimes you actually have to go like negative sign dir, right? And right, I guess I should say or. Negative sign director, right, and spell it out. But the negative sign right up to the word will also get rid of it. A lot of places don't use not anymore. It's just usually the negative sign on your keyboard. And you can tell I was going to go into negative signs here and natural language phrases, but I didn't want to complicate things more.
Okay, we just have a few more questions here for Larry. So Larry, after using SeekOut for those extremely long 32 plus search strings, do you prefer CSEs, which I don't know what that means, but CSEs or SeekOut for the initial search?
Okay, so Google custom search engines, right? I'm a huge fan of custom search engines, and they have their place. I prefer SeekOut just because it's tighter and I don't have to scrape, right? But I'll tell you what's really cool, and of course I'm going to do this, but if you have the SeekOut widget, I don't have it loaded because I want everything to move fast, but if you use SeekOut's Chrome extension, when you have your results in Google, it starts doing some of its magic, which is kind of cool, but it just depends. I mean, I personally like doing this, and then I just save it. I save my settings, right? And I'm also I spend a lot of time in LinkedIn Recruiter as well, but there is just sometimes, especially when you're in between contracts like I am, I'm like, I don't want to spend, I don't have money, I will build a custom search engine, but I still prefer SeekOut.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps things up for today. We don't have any other questions that I'm seeing from anybody else. We do have one more from Vic. Interested in seeing our messaging feature on SeekOut. So once you find all your individuals and candidates, you then put them into a project. And from that project, you can then engage them through our messaging. So as you can see, Larry has numerous campaigns set up here.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to show this because I didn't know it was in here, but like this is a test, right? So let me see here. So And by the way, now that we have got time, I'm a huge fan of this. If you're not using email campaigns, also called email sequencing or email cadences to source, you're just, I don't think you're going to be able to hit your numbers because one message out isn't enough anymore. So what you do is I would typically build out my search string, and then before I even start sourcing, I set up a campaign and I say, okay, hey, position for review, full name, right? Hey, full name, this is Larry here. This is an old one, but you can make these emails and you can put the candidate's info in here. And then I can say, look, step 2, if someone doesn't reply after 3 days, go ahead and send them the second email, right? And if they don't reply after 7 days, go ahead and send them this, right? The new number to hit now is 5. 5 is a number of messages that you'll hear in the sourcing industry that it takes to get a reply. And my initial thought was, I don't want to bother these software engineers. I mean, they don't even want to hear once from me. But guess what? If you do your messaging correct, and I don't usually start off with the position. I try to give, and then ask, right? Like, hey, nice to meet you. I see you're doing this. Here's a link to one of the white papers, or here's a link to a video. I'm supporting the machine learning, whatever it is. Inform them. Don't just say, I came across your profile and I want to talk, because that's what everyone is saying, right? But and you'll start seeing analytics. But yeah, that's what you would do. You set it up, and then if I wanted to put, well, I don't want to put 136 million people, but let's just say I had these 2 people, I would add them to a project, right? And then from the project, then I would just add them to the campaign. And I'll probably do a separate video on that. That's a whole other world, and there's whole other best practices for that. But that is another reason I use this, because it's all in one. I don't have to scrape my talent in Google custom search engine into one thing and then load them into a separate, like Mixmax, and then everything is kind of here. It lives in all lives in SeekOut.
Awesome. Cool. Well, if anybody has any other questions, you can go ahead and put those in the Q&A. We'll be sure to follow up with you directly. Paul, yes, the whiteboard is a separate tool. Larry, what's the whiteboard tool that you were using earlier?
It's called
Micro.
I think it's just
Miro.
Miro, yeah.
Awesome.
There's a bunch of them out there.
Great. Well, if you guys have any questions, again, for Larry, go ahead and drop those in the Q&A. If you would like to see more about SeekOut, you can go ahead and request a demo at seekout.io/Larry here. And thank you so much, Larry, for taking the time out of your day-to-day to teach everybody this. And we will follow up with the recording sometime later today. So thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.